Hello and welcome to my latest Star Wars video. So this time we're taking a second look at Star Wars adverts and we're picking up from issue 25. That was where we got up to last time when there was absolutely loads of Star Wars advertisers in Star Wars Weekly. There wasn't actually that many between now and issue 50, to be honest. We had Helix, which were famous for their British Star Wars stationery, and they do seem to be quite early supporters of Star Wars Weekly, and a big fan of the Helix stuff. I absolutely love it. So as you've seen, quite a bit of that on my channel. Here was a competition prize, a full pager, to win some more Helix goodies, which is quite nice. It would have been nice to have won some of that back in the day. This one's really good. So this is a chance to win a Palitoy land speeder. If you look at that land speeder picture there, I'll zoom in on it a bit. You can actually see it's like a prototype one, which is pretty amazing, isn't it? Now, issue 50 was quite special in that they started doing the odd photo cover, and I really, really like the Star Wars Weeklies with photo covers. In fact, I remember them. They're almost iconic to me with my memory when these were coming out back in the day, and this is issue 50 from 1979. And the very next one, which was issue 57, well, that was just really, really good. I so remember buying this one. Just amazing. The Stormtrooper on the tube out there was one of those really, really great wraparound covers. And I wish they'd done a bit more of that, to be honest. But I guess they probably had to pay a bit extra to have a photo cover, so maybe that's why they didn't do it in every issue. Now, this is really nice. So this is actually a full-page advert here, and you could win a day on the set of the filming of The Empire Strikes Back, where of course that was filmed in the UK, used a lot of the British film industry, and they sort of turned it into this comic strip here. And the idea was, I think you had to like draw your own droids, send them in, and they would get picked out the hat, and whoever drew the best droids would be invited to the set to actually see some filming of The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, how amazing would that be? Absolutely incredible. And this little illustration on the end here, I believe, is the Brian Bolland rendition of like the later figures, the 13 to 21 back figures. Next one, we have another mini anniversary. This is the cover of issue 75, and this was in August 1979. Not one of the greatest covers, but you know, it is what it is, I suppose. Number 76 had this fantastic little Brian Bolland quarter-page advert. I really, really like that one. And you can sort of tell it's sort of Brian Bolland's artwork. His style is so distinctive if you've ever seen his Judge Dredd and 2000 AD artwork. I think it's just fantastic, that one. I particularly like his Luke Bespin. Maybe he doesn't look that much like Luke, but it does certainly look like an X-Wing pilot in his outfit. And then the Death Star droid just next to him is also really, really cool. So yeah, really like that advert. So this next one's great, and it's like a three-way advert. So the first panel there shows the brilliant Palitoy Cantina. Absolutely love that one. Then we move down slightly, and it's done comic strip style again, and that shows the Palitoy Droid Factory, another real great toy. One that's still on my wants list, actually, that one. And then the bottom one there shows the Palitoy Land of the Jawas playset, which is fantastic stuff. Great advert there for Darth Vader's personal TIE fighter. This one's from issue 93, this one, so the Darth Vader TIE fighter. Great stuff. Really, really good. You don't see that advert very often, so I don't think it was used, you know, time and time again like some of the adverts were. Number 97 is Day of the Death Star, and that was like the first one of 1980. So it's just like a little milestone, just to say we are now actually into to 1980. And certainly not many. A lot of the adverts are like for non-Star Wars stuff. There was a little competition here, and this was to win one of 200 Star Wars badges, and there was a couple of patches as well. And then you've got issue 100 there, which is a really, really nice issue. I remember that one coming out, and just that really great cover, that iconic shot there, and thinking, wow, 100 issues. I mean, 100 weekly issues. Fantastic that they managed to keep it going, when in America they would only had about 16 monthly issues by that time. So that was number 100. This one's absolutely fantastic, and you have to say, almost iconic in its own right. So this is first seen in Star Wars Weekly number 110. And this is the offer to get Boba Fett. And you'd have to save away you'd have to send away 3 nameplates from a carded Star Wars figure. So you cut the names out, and this is why you sometimes find them with the names cut out. And then in the post, you'd receive your free Boba Fett figure, and it would come in a little toothpaste size box. I remember getting Boba Fett. I distinctly remember getting the Admiral Akbar. I remember getting, and I believe I got the Emperor as well. So those are the ones I got back in the day. That's the cover to number 110. Just to sort of let you know what's coming up, and this is what they were like. Number 116 is the first sort of teaser to Empire Strikes Back Weekly. So they know that Star Wars is coming to an end. They know all about the Empire Strikes Back. So they decide, let's start teasing it and keep the excitement going, which is probably a pretty good idea. Now, this advert really surprised me. It was for a very early signing. This is 1980 by Dave Prowse and Anthony Daniels in Forbidden Planet, which hadn't been open that long, perhaps maybe a year or two, in the guise of Forbidden Planet. And they were already there selling their signature for money, or who knows, or maybe they were just there doing autographs for free back then. Now, this is Dairy We saw some Dairy adverts last time. They would have full-page ads advertising their transfers, and then the week after that, in number 118, which was the Empire Strikes Back issue, they did a full-page advert on the back, and of course that was the almost, once again, iconic issue 118 cover, which was the first ever Empire Strikes Back Weekly. And once again, it really made a big impact on the newsstands, that one, and it's just fantastic. Now, the other thing I found going through issue 118 was this poster for Star Wars, and it does say in the corner that the European Royal Charity Premiere will be happening on May the 20th. So I found some photos from it. This particular one's great. It's got Mark Hamill meeting Princess Margaret. There's Billy D. Williams next to him. I think that might be Irvin Kershner, and you can just see the bit of Peter Mayhew in the background there. He's so tall. Mark Hamill has commented that he always wishes that he looked Princess Margaret in the eye, but for some reason he was a bit shy at the time, and this is the Queen's sister. So maybe he was just a bit shy. This is another great shot of Carrie Fisher speaking to Princess Margaret there. I think that's a really, really great sort of candid shot. What it must have been to have been at that royal premiere. I mean, absolutely fantastic. As far as I can see, looking through the photos, just about everyone was there, although I couldn't actually spot George Lucas, but I can't imagine he would have missed it, to be honest. This is another great one. So you got Harrison Ford there, Alec Guinness, what's he called? Peter Mayhew's there in the background, and Kenny Baker in the foreground, in his tuxedo there. Harrison Ford's not looking too happy, is he? But Alec Guinness is certainly smiling, probably on the money that he made out coming back for The Empire Strikes Back, I would think. Peter Mayhew sparking up a fag. This is a great shot of Harrison Ford smiling this time, with Carrie Fisher in a risque top there, and Mark Hamill smiling. It's a great shot. I mean, what a night that must have been. So I found those photos. I thought I'd put them in here because they do relate very much to that advert. Still, there's not that many advertisers really. The Palitoy ones are by far the best. This one here is for RSO Records, and they produced the soundtrack album with the London Symphony Orchestra. And that was pretty much the last Star Wars advert up until issue 125, which is what we've got here. I will, of course, carry on in the next one of these, and I go right through to the end of The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Monthly, and then we'll whack into Return of the Jedi Weekly, where the ramping, by Palitoy at least, did advertise quite a bit more than they did in these issues, but fascinating all the same. So I do hope you enjoyed that one.